Okay, welcome everybody. So today we're talking about crank arms. There has been a lot of problems out there with crank arms. They're coming loose, specifically the Shimano with the 2-bolt system with the bolts coming in from either side. There is a very specific way to tighten those, and they're evidently not getting done. They're not properly being tightened, torqued down, which can also have to do with the Shimano Hollowtech. It's got the same basic idea, but with the e-bikes, they have the E13s on them most of the time, but it's still the dual bolt system. There's probably others out there that aren't coming to mind at the moment, but the big problem is they're coming off, they're falling off, they're coming loose, all kinds of problems like that. So we're going to go through on how to replace these. It came loose on me and actually fell off as I took a drop, but I was able to kind of tape it together enough that I could ride it, and Intense actually was wonderful. They actually sent a complete replacement kit of new crank arms and the center pieces. They sent everything I need for it. So that is what we're going to be working on tonight. The first tool that you need is going to be your 5mm, most likely is what it is, to loosen the crank arm bolts. You have to do this very carefully so that you don't strip it out, so that you won't be able to get these off. And how they come off doesn't matter quite as much. And if it would be best to take your pedals off as well prior to. Like I said, this one here is really difficult to get to. Plus, to get it to stay, I had to go a little bit on the extra side to make sure that everything stayed properly. Now that's all loosened. Let's take the pedal off. Best way to do this is you reach across and you hold the other side, and we're just going to do this one side at a time. And I'm just going to basically show you this one side. The other side will actually be a lot easier to do. And set the pedal aside. Now you need whatever tool it is that holds your centerpiece in. In my case, it just happens to be the 10mm, because that's what I bought to replace my broken centerpiece. Because when it fell off, I actually sheared that in half. And that pulls it off. And I really doubt that you can see in there, but it actually stripped it out pretty good. So once these come loose, they are to be replaced. They are no longer any good. They usually wear out. They're just aluminum, and they wear out inside of there. So when you put these back on, it has very specific torque specs, if I can speak properly. But you slip this on there first, just like that. And then you take your centerpiece which is one of these. Now each one of these are a little different for torque, so you need to make sure that you have the proper torque specs for your bike. Mine are going to be different than yours are. So I get my torque wrench out, and this particular piece is 2 foot-pounds. It's just to hold it where it belongs. It is not to hold it in place. So you get it started, and you go to the 2 foot-pounds. It's right there. It doesn't give much of a click at 2 foot-pounds. But that is where you want that. Now, here's the very specific. These have Loctite on them already. It is very key to this staying in place. And the bolts and this piece have some blue Loctite on them so they don't come loose. So now, first, don't drop your tool. But you need to tighten these very specifically, so many turns each on either side. There is no specific, but you don't want to be tightening one side more than the other. So you just go from one side to the other, tightening about 1 full turn. And you'll get to a point where you're going to grab the torque wrench and you're going to put a specific torque on these. But you just want to keep going back and forth so this closes evenly. If you do not, it will tighten one side more than the other, which will make it come loose. So it is extremely important to get these tightened exactly the same. And these here, I probably could have gone more up. No, that one's getting tight now. So I'm actually gonna bring this one down to the same right there. Now I'm gonna grab my torque wrench and we're gonna actually start getting it torqued down properly. Which on this, on mine, was 13 foot-pounds. So once you've got it set, you do the same exact thing. You just turn it so many times on one side. Actually going to come down like this, so it's a straighter shot. I'm going to go a quarter turn at a time. Okay, did you hear that click? That click meant that it was down to this torque spec that it needed to be. And notice, you want to grab it right here and right here. You can't grab here or anything. It'll give the wrong torque specs. So you want to make sure. There went the torque. So you go back to the other side and you do the same thing to make sure that it's got the exact torque spec that it needs. See, that one turned some more again. And you want to go back and forth on this until it's exactly where it needs to be. This one's going to turn some more. See, notice here? Oop, that was not a pop, that was something else. Okay, watch. It turned more before it clicked. And that one did too again. So go back and forth until it